Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Meeting House. This is Sunday in the House, and I am your host, Dr. Dwight A. Moody, thanking you for joining me today. I have a gospel word about how to deal with anxiety and peace. I have a response to somebody who wrote me this week and wanted an explanation of why I posted what I did. And then I've got some news about our family that I want to share with you. Thanks for tuning in. I encourage you to connect with me, to call, text, email, send me a card or letter or a homing pigeon if you have one. This is Sunday in the House, and we're always looking to Jesus for wisdom and courage and for the facing of these strange times in which we live. I want to remind you that next Sunday is No King's Day, June the 14th. I believe it's been months since we had one. I've heard very little about the plans for here in North or South Carolina. I'll be on the road next Sunday traveling back to Kentucky, but I encourage you to find a place to march and protest and take your banner and let your conviction be known that we're not happy with the direction of things in our country, that we don't like this horrible, very bad, no good administration that's good at blowing stuff up and no good at building things. They blow up alliances, they blow up services, they blow up national parks and food for the poor, research into diseases. They're blowing up fair voting for everybody, and they're blowing up freedom and opportunity for the immigrant, the refugee, those fleeing danger, oppression, and poverty. But one thing they know how to build up, and that's their bank accounts. The administration and people in it and the family are making enormous amount of money off of no-bid government contracts. Anyway, this week I posted a video on another platform, another social media platform. It's a video that I've watched several times. I don't know whether you're familiar with the network called Raging Grannies. This is actually a global network of older women who dress up funny and play their ukuleles and sing protest songs to familiar music, to familiar tunes. And I came across one this week from the Piedmont Raging Grannies. The Piedmont of North Carolina, it's meant, is the Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem part of that state. And they're protesting the loss of liberties in these United States. So let's look back a little bit before I play the video. In my lifetime, 70 plus years, and in yours, many of you, we have as a nation stretched the reach of liberty to cover people it once ignored. People of color, women, gay and lesbian people, immigrants, the poor, to name a few. But now there is this pushback in our country, which we call the MAGA movement, that does not like this expansion of freedom and opportunity. They want to pull it all back. They call our progress over the last 70 years DEI. They've demonized and denigrated those three simple words. I think they are gospel words. They don't like diversity. I think Jesus did. They want only white Christian people in America. DE, they don't like equity. That is, giving everybody a fair opportunity for enrolling in school or applying for a job or getting a promotion like in the military. No, the MAGA people, they want white Christian people and men generally. And they sure don't like that last word, inclusion. If the gospel narrative in the New Testament is about anything, it's about inclusion. And we've been talking about that in our red letter lessons recently about Simon Peter's transformation, the midlife conversion in his own life from being exclusively Jewish oriented to being broadly inclusive. You remember he had the vision, heard the voice. God said to him, Simon Peter, don't you call unclean what I have called clean. Well, the whole MAGA movement now is calling a lot of people unclean. If you're brown, if you're black, if you speak another language, if you have another religion, if you're gay or lesbian, or God forbid, if you're trans, all of these kinds of people are considered unclean. We don't want them around. We want rules to keep them out. Not so Jesus. Jesus included them all, and that's what he tried to tell Simon Peter. So I want to play this video for you. Enjoy it. It's very funny. It's wonderful. It may inspire you to join a group. I wish there were a group like this around that I could join. But these are women playing and singing. Let's roll the tape.
We're not going, we're not going back. We're not going, we're not going back. Our democracy is worth the fighting for. We're not going back. Standing for our freedom, we're not going back. Having civil liberties, we're not going back. Our democracy is worth the fighting for. We're not going back. Voting means we have a say. We're not going back. They can't take our rights away. We're not going back. Our democracy is worth the fighting for. We're not going back. Preserving our democracy, we're not going back. Soul of our nation, we're not going back. Our democracy is worth the fighting for. We're not going back. Immigration makes us strong, we're not going back. Lady Liberty welcomes all, we're not going back. Our democracy is worth the fighting for. We're not going back. We're not going, we're not going back. We're not going back. Our democracy is worth the fighting for. We're not going back. Our democracy is worth the fighting for. We shall not be moved.
Isn't that fun? Wouldn't you like to be a part of a group like that? It's an interesting thing what's happened in our country. The role of art in responding to the political crisis that we are now in. Some of our larger, wealthier institutions, I don't mean just schools, but courts and congresses and legislatures, have capitulated, haven't had the strength and the courage and the guts to push back against all of the unlawful and unhealthy things that are happening in our country. And it's amazing to me how often it is these grassroots artists, some of them professional, some of them amateur. You don't have to be a professional artist to create and protest and gather a band of people who share your concerns, your values. Now you can march in the street, you can make your banners and march in the street. You can pull out your ukuleles and write new lyrics to familiar tunes. We shall not be moved in this case. Maybe you want to design t-shirts. You can find ways to be a protester. You know, I saw a book advertised not too long ago with this title, Art is the Only Way Out. Isn't that a powerful thought? That the musicians and artists and dancers and sculptors, the performers, people who write and sing and dance and perform, that these are the last to be controlled by the moneyed people who want to control everything. So I want to encourage you, if you have any artistic instinct in you, this is a great time to let it out. Well, somebody saw that I had posted this on social media. So they sent me this question, and I'm, quote, please enumerate for me the rights that have been taken from you here in the land of the free and the home of the brave, end quote. So these women were singing about the loss of rights. I posted it on Facebook. And the person who wrote me actually is an acquaintance of mine in another state. I know him. And he wrote this, please enumerate for me the rights that have been taken from you here in the land of the free and the home of the brave. I wrote him back and said, that's a fair question. I think I will do that. But I suspect the question strikes me as odd because it sounds as if somebody doesn't know what's going on. It's clearly coming from somebody who's been on Mars for the last 18 months. You know, John Prine has a song called Linda Goes to Mars, which is very funny. Quote, I just found out yesterday that Linda goes to Mars every time I sit and look at pictures of used cars. She'll turn on her radio, sit down at her chair, and look at me across the room as if I wasn't there. Oh, my stars, my Linda's gone to Mars. Well, I wish she wouldn't leave me here at home. Oh, my stars, my Linda's gone to Mars. Well, I wonder if she's bring me something home. That's the John Prine song. I never met John Prine. Fact is, I'd never heard of John Prine until after he died. But I do know this man who wrote me. He's an acquaintance, as I said, from another state. I wrote him back publicly and posted it and said, I will respond on the show today. So here is my top 10 list of fragile freedoms that are right now endangered in the United States, or they've been lost to a lot of people. Number 10, the right of due process in court. Now, we all know that thousands of detainees have been denied due process and speedy adjudication of the state concerns. So I want to say to the man, his name is Steve, who wrote me, I suppose there's good reason you don't know about this loss of due process for thousands of people. If you're just listening to Fox News, They don't report this kind of stuff. But that's number 10. Number 9. Here's what a lot of people have lost: the right to apply for asylum. You know, this has been one of the great gifts that America has had for the entire world. But the present administration has shut down the entire process. Nobody is admitted except, of course, a few thousand white people from South Africa. But no brown people, no black people. No, you can't even apply for asylum anymore. Number 8, the right to citizenship by birth. The administration has been in court over the last 2 weeks, in the Supreme Court, seeking to deny people, thousands of people, a path to citizenship, and even in some cases to strip people of the citizenship they now have. Not you, of course, Steve, because you're white and you're Christian, so you don't have to worry. But thousands of people have lost hope in ever coming to America. Number 7, your right to representation in Congress. Now, Steve, during your lifetime and mine, because we're about the same age, people black and white have struggled to gain the right to vote. But now that they have it, the Supreme Court has nullified the Voting Rights Act. All over the South, these white Christian people like you and me have in the last 3 weeks met to redraw the voting boundaries in order to disenfranchise black people. Have you been paying attention, Steve? Now, of course, they're not denying you the right to vote because you're white, you're a man, you're Christian. Number 6, the right to be free of intrusion by federal officers. So, Steve, have you read the Fourth Amendment? Let me read that to you. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. That's the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. But we've all seen video after video of federal officers busting doors, breaking windows, dragging out people, even shooting people, even killing people. Not because they've committed a crime, but because extraordinary bully-like powers have been given to federal officers. Now, they're not going to do that to you, Steve, of course, because you're white and Christian and you're a man. But you've seen the videos. Have you been watching, Steve? But here's what I predict. It's not going to be too many months, maybe a couple of years, before many of these ICE agents will have to appear in court. Not federal court, because Trump is going to pardon all of them, thousands upon thousands. They've broken federal law, they've broken state law. And state prosecutors all around the country are going to send them a notice saying, here's the date that you need to appear in court. Number 5, the freedom from deceit. We have a right to the truth from presidents, judges, policemen, officers of the court, federal agents. But all of us, including you, Steve, are subject to the lying that's coming out of the White House. Trump never gives a speech without telling many things that are untrue to all of us. You know this to be true. You can't believe a third of what the president says when he gets up to speak. Number 4, we've lost our freedom from political mobs, like the one that stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021. You remember that, Steve? We've lost this freedom because Trump and thousands of others, even millions of his followers, now describe that day when they stormed the Capitol, and you remember the Senate and the House of Representatives had to flee their chambers and find a safe place. But now the president and his people describe that whole event as harmless tourism, disrupted by deceitful Democrats designed to make Trump look bad. People at the highest levels are spinning a story. But Steve, you and I, we saw what happened. We know what the courts ruled. Number 3, we're losing the freedom to be treated equally under the law, especially in federal employment and in the wider stretches of opportunity. Steve, you and I know that when we were little, women could not get into law school. There were no female federal judges, and there were no females on the Supreme Court. You know this. There were no female generals. But today, if you're black or female, you're going to have a hard time getting promoted to the top ranks of the military and of power. Have you noticed that all 4 of Trump's fired cabinet secretaries were women? And of course, we all remember the story that just came out this week of the 7 people who were denied promotions in the military, included 2 black men, 2 women. But Steve, you don't have to worry because you're white, you're male, and you're Christian, so things are lining up good for you. Number 2, freedom of religion. Not like it used to be, not in the military. They just announced that 180 religious traditions are no longer recognized, including the Unitarian Universalist. Pete Hegseth, who probably doesn't even know what a Unitarian is, made the announcement. But we all know people who are Unitarians. They're in every city in America. No religious identity for them. They're grouped into other. What about the Mormons, the Latter-day Saints? Do you know what's happening this week? A vicious rebellion brewing in one of the most conservative states in the USA, Utah. They're protesting this ignorance and insensitive move by the doofus who runs the Department of War. My. And number 1, the number 1 freedom to be left alone and be yourself. But now gay, lesbian, and especially trans people are being harassed and denied and refused to be treated as people, as citizens, as customers, as humans, as soldiers, as officers. There's every reason to believe that the Trump Supreme Court will strike down the right to marry, just like they did the right to an abortion. But Steve, you don't have to worry. You're white, you're male, you're Christian, you're straight. You're the kind of people Trump wants. He wants to protect you and promote you. You and I both fall into that category. We make up less than 20% of the American population. And all of our rights are intact, are still there. But don't pretend that you don't know what is happening, Steve. But you asked, and I answered you here in public. Grace and peace to you and to all people, gay and straight, male and female, black and white and brown, Christian, Muslim and Jew, believer, unbeliever, rich and poor, married and single, citizen or not. That we're all the same under the law. We are all same in the gospel. Grace and peace to everyone in the name and spirit of Jesus, who was the prophet of God, the rabbi of Nazareth, the healer of the sick and the infirmed, the protester against the religious and political establishment, prisoner of the state, crucified for being a disruptor of the peace. Most of all, risen from the dead, vindicated by God, alive and among us today, welcoming the stranger, healing the sick, feeding the poor, visiting the prisoner, and passing out water to the thirsty. I can tell you what he's not doing. Jesus is not building ballrooms and detention centers. That's somebody else doing that. Jesus, the risen Lord, is not chasing down brown people and cutting off voting for black people. That's somebody else. Jesus is not bombing Iran and Gaza and boats in the open waters. Somebody else is doing that. Now, our red letter lesson. How can we have peace in these trying times? How can we deal with the anxiety and uncertainty and even our own anger? Now, I want to recognize that many people around the world have it much worse than we do. But here and now, we're called upon to deal with the challenges that face us in our country, among our people in these United States, which is precisely the situation that Jesus was in and also his followers like Paul, the great apostle. We've been looking at the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus, the risen Lord. And today, in the 18th chapter of the Acts, we have this great story, a story of success and failure, of opportunity and opposition, of despair and hope. My book, my Good News Bible, records this. Paul goes to Corinth and meets Aquila and Priscilla. They were new to him. They became great friends. And Paul switches up his ministry. He got frustrated trying to preach to the Jews, and he decided to, because of all the opposition to his preaching, all the trouble he was having, he decided to reorient his work toward another group of people, that is, Gentile people. And in the midst of all this oppression and pushback to Paul in the city of Corinth, Greece, as we know it, then and now, the Bible records here in the 18th chapter that Paul had a vision. He had a dream. He heard a word from the Lord. And I think it might be a word that some of you may need to hear today. It's a dream that some of you need to have. It's a vision that you need to see today because of what you're struggling with, because of the pushback to your own life, because of the uncertainty, because of the difficulties that you are facing. In this dream, Jesus came to Paul and said these 5 things, short things. Number 1, do not be afraid. Number 2, keep going. Number 3, do not give up. Number 4, I am with you. Number 5, I have many people in this place. Implying they were people that Paul did not know, implying they're people that you do not know. Maybe people outside of your circle, outside of your comfort zone, strangers, people waiting to be your friend and helper. Who needs a vision like this today? Who needs these 5 words from the Lord? Do not be afraid. Keep going. Do not quit. I am with you. I have many people. That phrase, many people, includes surprising people, different people, people you would least expect. Not just people in your religious circle or your church people, but other people, able people, surprising people, good people, God's people, people who understand right from wrong, people who respond to need. I'm praying these 5 things for my grandson, Sam. Last week, he moved to Lexington, Kentucky, and he's going to need people like this to receive him, help him, encourage him, and bless him. For years, I played that role as students came to Georgetown College, or young preachers came to festivals, or people stopped by a church to solicit help. You may be the person in need of help, or you may be the person that comes to the aid of somebody, some family, some immigrant, some seeker, some student. So I want to encourage you today to be the agent of God today. Be the hands and feet of Jesus today. Be the answer to somebody's prayer today. Put aside your own need this week and open your eyes and ears to the needs of other people. That's our red letter lesson for today. Thank you for joining me. Write me this week. Send us a donation. Visit the website. This has been Sunday in the House, and that's the Meeting House. I've been your host, as I have been since 1998, Dr. Dwight A. Moody. God bless and keep you this week and give you what you need. Have a great day.